Hi, everybody. I'm Robin, and these are my reflections. And today we're taking a look at The Haunts Oracle by Stacey Williams Ung. This is third in the Southern Gothic trilogy, a 40 card oracle deck inspired by the ghosts and monsters of the American South. I backed it on Kickstarter. I'm excited to take a look. So we're going to take a look at it together. It says The Haunts Oracle features spirits, monsters, cryptids, and scary places from the American South. It is only by facing the darkness that we can overcome our fears and manage the day to day terrors of life with courage. The Haunts Oracle completes the trilogy of the Southern Gothic Oracle decks by author and artist Stacey Williams Ung. This deck, the Southern Gothic Oracle and the Botanic Oracle, form a three-deck collection of stories and folklore from this region of the United States. This shadow deck is ideal for exploring fears. Okay, so I think it's going to be perfect for the season. Look at the beautiful Gothic motif here. There's a quote by Zora Neale Hurston here. It says, "Through indiscriminate suffering, men know fear, and fear is the most divine emotion. It is the stones for altars and the beginning of wisdom. Half gods are worshipped in wine and flowers. Real gods require blood." Zora Neale Hurston. All right. The cover illustration of Uncle Monday digital painting. So that's the color, the cover. Guidebook, and here are the cards, and you've got a ribbon to pull them out. So that's the box. All right, so let's take a look at the book. There's a table of contents. So we have introduction, real life fears, 40 frights, card spreads, guide to the cards, the trilogy, further reading, and about the artist. It says, why would anyone want such a thing? Okay. It says, on a recent vacation to South Carolina to visit its summery beaches, my partner and I stumbled time and time again on attractions that offered thrills and chills. The only haunted carriage tour boasted one brochure. Book now for a spooky night you'll never forget. In my hometown of Memphis, the historic Elmwood Cemetery not only has tours with names like Scandals and Scoundrels, it even offers movie night outdoor with the spirits. Ooh, and I would not be going to that. I am such a chicken. Maybe I don't need this deck. We'll see. Of course, New Orleans, not to be outdone by any city anywhere, has a vampire cafe with cocktails named things like the Bloodiest Mary. The Crescent City's macabre attractions are too numerable to list. But surely such things do not belong in an oracle deck. It's hard to imagine that anyone would want to sit with a deck of cards, pull 4 or 5 cards for a personal reading, and turn up nothing but doom and gloom. I grappled with my idea for years because, as both ghost hunter myself and a genuine empath, I struggled with how to bring these things together and why. When I'm in a ghost hunting or horror novel mode, I'm usually just seeking a bit of thrill or distraction. I love movie night at the cemetery, to be honest. However, when I am asked to read someone's cards, it's an altogether different sensibility. I am in a mind to listen, to care, and to tune into someone's real world problems. A person dealing with the recent loss of a friend, for example, is in no mood to be amused with ghost stories. If anything, it could trigger disturbing thoughts about the eternal fate of their own departed loved one. When reframed as a series of oracle cards, however, the old tales of ghosts and monsters take on a different light. All of those paperback books about ghosts in southern states reveal an awful lot more about the readers than they do about the legend's face value. There are very valid discussions afoot about the nature of these stories and what they say about bigotry, misogyny, and prejudice. Okay, so this deck then is for shadow work. The shadow is a term from modern Jungian psychology, and it refers to the parts of ourselves that are often troublesome. Maybe even one might call them personality flaws, but which are there following us nonetheless. They are best dealt with and understood with open eyes and a willingness to accept rather than be denied or ignored. They are the tendencies we have that stem from our own traumas, misunderstandings, and shortcomings. We all have both light side and dark side, depending on which way we shine. The sun is shining. The Haunts cards are both a novelty. Feel free to simply enjoy them like a nonlinear book of tales, as well as a real tool for examining the darker side of human life. In this guidebook, I have provided not only the meanings of the cards and the stories behind them, but also detailed instructions on how to perform readings that are both chilling and revealing. Proceed with caution because cards like this can bite and perhaps draw blood. Okay. So I have been warned. All right. So then we've got real life fears. And it talks about right here at the top, I'm seeing civil rights activists, FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. So she's getting right into it. She is not pulling punches. Okay. She's talking about courage is not the opposite of fear. There are 40 fears represented in the 40 cards of this deck. Using the monsters, ghosts, scary places, and objects pictured, you can consider each as an analogy to limiting fear that might be shadowing you. What are you really afraid of? Fear of change, fear of attachment, fear of outsiders. Many of these issues are aspects of life to examine more carefully with the use of this oracle deck. Don't be afraid to pull a card, but maybe keep the lights on. There's a couple spreads here and then a case study. Oh, I like that there's a case study so that she really kind of gets into kind of why she would use the card, who she used it on, what was the circumstance, um, more about card spreads here. That's nice. And then for the write-ups, you have some keywords: primal self, nature, and grounding. And then what is it the fear of? The fear of the wild. And then the story. And then when this card shows up, what it might want to represent for you, and then questions to ask yourself. Fear of attachment, fear of unresolved guilt. And then let's look in the back. Okay. Some advertisements, some further reading, and about the artist and author. And there she is. All right. So we will read one at the end. Let's look at the cards. Okay, so we have borderless cards now. The cards before were, well, not this deck, but the other decks were bordered. And I do think that in this Kickstarter, she re-released the other decks without the border. So if you did want to get the other decks without the borders, you can now from her shop. I'll put the link in the description box below. So let's go. I am going to read the keywords down here, but you have the title. There's a number and a title and then some keywords. I'm going to read the keywords out because they're very small. So it says primal self, nature, close bonds, attachment, damnation, underworld. Ooh, this one's creepy. Narrow views, obedience, secrecy, closeting, predictions, storms ahead, speaking out, honesty, objectification, corruption, solitude, hermit, hot seat, spotlight, grace, gentleness, voyage, fear of the unknown, warning, voices in your head, betrayal, terror, avatar, effigy, anxiety, torrents, persistence, endurance. It's a very beautiful painting. Scapegoating, blame, separation, transformation, paradigm shift, crossing over, solving, regrouping, boost, talismans, ego, narcissism, tribalism, groupthink, toxic nostalgia, infatuation, abundance, good fortune, grudges, burdens, eccentric, different, heat, pressure, summoning drama, negativity, nagging, reminders, erasure, gaslighting, openness, listening, resistance, code switching, virtue, oppression, discoveries, progress, humor, imagination, jealousy, dangerous urges, sham, shady deal, and one more, discipline and fear tactics. Okay, so I thought that there were going to be some of the poisons in here as well, but it's not. It's just the haunts. So the 9 cards from the haunts, and then she did 31 additional cards. I don't know why I thought that there were going to be poisons in here. I don't know. Sometimes I don't read things thoroughly on the Kickstarters. If I already know the creator, I get a little lax about reading the Kickstarter sometimes. um, Sometimes I want to be surprised, you know? This is terrifying. Well, not all of them. Some of them were okay. Not, I would say about 5 of the cards were like, whoa, those are crazy. And then the rest are, creepy, but not so bad. And then there were some that weren't too bad at all. The cardstock is nice. It's nice and kind of bendy, bouncy, and it has like a satiny coating on it. So it's very nice cardstock. They're nice and smooth. So let's read one of the cards. Oh, the size. This is a Blue Angel deck. So these are about Hay House Oracle size. There it is up against the tarot card. And let's read for Snake Handler. It says sham and shady deal. Actually, let me not, because if you're afraid of snakes, I don't want to mess anybody up. All right, let's look at Vampire of Richmond. Ego, narcissism. I was going to read this one, but it's in the old deck. This is what the old one looked like, just so you can see the difference. It's definitely has like a cooler tone to it. And then, of course, it's borderless. So that's the difference. And I wanted to read one that's not in the other deck. So let's look at Flood. That one's definitely not in the other deck. I'm pretty sure that the coating on this is what's changing the coloring. If you have, because I have the one in the drawer box, and it is very it's got a glossier coating on it. And that's probably why it's brighter in color in the print. If you have the one that's in the 2-piece box, well, they're both 2-piece boxes, but the one that lifts up, it might be closer in color to this one. I'm not sure. I don't have that one. But let's look at Flood. This is number 16. I like that they're numbered. I wonder if the numbers, so that would be a 7. Anxiety, torrents. And there's an extra keyword in here. So there's overwhelm as well. I wonder why she didn't put all of them on the card. I wonder if the numbers are significant because of because she was able to, because the other ones weren't numbered. So she was able to put them in whatever order. I wonder if the numbers are significant. Let me know if you have this deck, what you think about that. If you want to read this, you can read it for yourself. Okay, so it says anxiety, torrents, and then overwhelm. So anxiety and torrents are here, but there's an extra keyword in here, overwhelm. Fear of drowning. People have a natural, even primal fear of drowning, often despite their level of swimming skill. The fear stems from the threat that drowning poses to our most fundamental physiological need, breathing. The suffocating sensation, the inability to draw breath, and the overwhelming feeling of water filling the lungs are intensely terrifying experiences. This inherent response is not learned, but it is hardwired into our biology. In esoteric practices such as reading tarot, The element of water is associated with the emotional life, which makes sense when you think of tears, sweat, and the watery sensation in the belly when we fall in love. So too does drowning make an apt analogy to the feeling of being emotionally swept away by anxieties that leave us so panicked that we physically cannot draw breath. Anxiety is a feeling that physically affects the whole body and is an apt analogy to our perception of water immersion. The feeling of being submerged, unable to touch solid ground, and at the mercy of an environment we are not naturally equipped for can be profoundly unsettling. When you draw this in association with another card, the flood card can serve as a clarifier to the other, meaning a torrent of it, flooded with it, overcoming and drowning in it. Try to calm yourself and assess ways in which you can assess the situation and paddle to safety. Questions to ask. What am I, metaphorically speaking, drowning in? Is there a torrent of emotions that I am feeling about something? What is my usual response when I feel overwhelmed or buried in work or responsibilities? When was the last time you felt as though your breath had been taken away by emotions? And that is what a guidebook reads like. I like that she put in there, like, when you pull this with another card, it amplifies that card or how it changes a card. So that did clarify that we are meant to use these in association with a tarot cards or with tarot cards. So that's cool. So that's what the guidebook reads like. Let's do another one. I'm just curious. Let's do this one, grace and gentleness, because I'm curious to see what the fear is in that one. And that's a 2, 11 or a 2. And here it is if you'd like to read it for yourself. So it says grace, gentleness, calm, fear of omens and magic. Okay, interesting. In various mythologies, deer are sacred to deities, such as Artemis in Greek mythology, and are considered incarnations of gods or spirits. The Snoffus is a magical creature of Ozark folklore. It's depicted as a very large, all white deer distinguished by blooming branches of plum or dogwood trees growing from its head instead of antlers. Okay, and then I'm just going to skip down here to what it means. So it says the Snoffus is widely regarded as a supernatural being that occupies the space between the living and the dead and between the animal, plant, and human worlds. It is graceful, majestic, and inspiring to whomever is blessed enough to encounter it. Questions to ask. What message is being conveyed to me about gentleness and calm? What brings me wonder and magic? When I encounter an animal in nature that seems to trust me or make meaningful eye contact, how does it usually make me feel or respond? What is my relationship with grace? And how might I handle my current situation with more equanimity and calm? And how do I cultivate magic? Interesting. So, yeah, that's the guidebook. Yeah, that's the Haunts Oracle. You'll have to let me know what you think in the comments below. I have no clue how I feel about this. I guess I'll have to use it and see. At the moment, I have mixed feelings. Like, I feel like there's some that I'm scared of, but then also I'm curious because I like the way that the guidebook talks about how it can amplify other things. The imagery in some of them are quite terrifying and some of them are not. So, I'm curious about how it will work for me in a reading if I want to pull more than one card at a time. I wonder if I can read with this as a regular oracle deck to let it to just be a clarifying oracle deck, or if it really needs to be the type of deck that I'm only pulling out when I'm trying to find one portion of a reading, like just trying to lock in on a fear. That's what I'm curious about. I won't know that until I use it. So yeah, I'll have to check it out. I'll have to use it and see. If you have used it, report, then let me know. Let me know in the comments below how it's going for you. So I will put the links to Stacey Williams Ung's Etsy shop as well as her regular website, because she has her own website as well where she sells her decks and other people's decks as well. So I'll put that down below. And yeah, that's it. So also, if you have time, you can look around in the description box down below to see other things that are down there. I've got lots of information if you have time. Um, and yeah, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from me, you can subscribe. I release videos every few days, all about tarot and oracle. Would love to have you here with me. I love to hear you guys chatting in the comments and all of the things and the thoughts that you have about the decks. So that's always fun to hear from you guys. Don't forget to thumbs up, share, like, hype, all the things. Hit the bell, all the things that we say. And until I see you guys next time, stay safe and be blessed. Bye bye.